Hello, good afternoon, and welcome back to the Relationship Series. I am your host, Genevieve, and today is a very special episode. It is our Season 7 finale, and we'll be talking about top 10 myths about getting over it. So I'm glad you're able to join us. Here at the Relationship Series, we have great conversations about how to do our relationships better, because when our relationships are good, our lives are good, and who doesn't want that? So we're jumping in today with our top 10 myths about getting over it. Now, I want to set the stage for us so that we understand what kinds of things we may want to get over. So getting over it usually is associated with something difficult, hard, painful in our lives. Here are my top 10 things that we need to get over. Breakups or divorce. These are things that we need to grieve, transition through, process, and then come out on the other side. Number 2, family trauma. These are things that we may not have had any part in. It wasn't our fault. It was something that happened to us. We are not responsible for the things that happen to us, but we are responsible to deal with the things that happen to us and how they affect us and how we show up in our lives. So family trauma is something that we need to get over. Lost friendships. Sometimes we don't take this into consideration when we have to transition out of schools or neighborhoods and we lose friends or we move. We don't readily acknowledge loss of friendship as something that we need to process intentionally and get over. Number 4, rejection. So rejection can come in any form. I have a very strong rejection trigger. Anything that looks like rejection, I need to go and process immediately. This could be a comment by someone about our outfits. Something so simple. It could be being denied a job after going for an interview. Somebody else got the position and we didn't. Denied a role. Perhaps you are a creative and you went for an audition in dance or theater and you didn't get that role. That is a rejection that needs to be processed. That is something that you need to get over. And of course, when it comes to relationships as well, if we like someone, if we have affection for someone, we have a crush on someone, but the feeling is not mutual, that might feel like rejection as well. So we need to get over that. Number 5, betrayal. Betrayals of any sort. Lies, cheating, adultery, affairs. Even when it comes to people taking credit for our work, perhaps in the workplace, we've done an assignment, we've done a project, we've done a presentation, or we have a great idea. Someone else presents it as their own. That can feel like a betrayal, and that is something that we need to process as well. Unmet expectations is a big one. One of the things I hear and that I say to myself is, man, I'm 25, I'm 30 years old, I'm 35, I'm 40, I'm 45, I'm 50. I thought I would be at a different place at this time in my life. And that is something that we need to process and get over, because that can feel like unmet expectations and that can stir up disappointment in our lives. And then we start comparing ourselves, things like that. So that is also something that we need to get over. Number 7, guilt or regret. So guilt or regret can sound like, what if I had just done this? What if I had become a lawyer instead of a psychotherapist? What if I had gotten married at 20 years old instead of 40? We sometimes hold guilt or regret about the decisions that we've made in our lives. And those are also things that we need to get over. Shame is another thing that we need to get over. We need to process well. And shame usually shows up around our finances, our sexuality, our family or our relationships, things that we think should have happened. We should have had a 2-parent home, for example. We should have created a 2-parent family for our own families, but we had a divorce. So shame and guilt sometimes comes up. I should have had more money. I should have been better with my finances. I should have owned a car by now. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So shame and guilt, we need to process well and get over. Number 9, failure, whether it's public or private, anything that feels like failure for you is something that you need to get over. Maybe you tried to get a degree in accounting, but you didn't get into the program. Maybe you tried to pursue a career in a particular area, a particular field, and it didn't work out. You tried to start a business. You tried to be an entrepreneur. It didn't work out, didn't pan out for you. Failure of any kind, relational, occupational, anything like that, you need to process well and get over. I'm helping you out because sometimes we disregard the things that happen in our lives and we feel like we can just keep it moving and it's not going to affect us, and it will. So part of doing this work of acknowledging the myths that we believe is also recognizing the areas that we need to address when it comes to getting over it, when it comes to processing, when it comes to healing, when it comes to transitioning. Number 10, I think this is probably the most obvious one that most people think I need to get over something. Grief and loss as it pertains to death, as it pertains to chronic illness of a loved one or of ourselves, if we've been diagnosed with something, that is a grief, that is a loss. We in some ways are more intuitive about getting over it when it has to do with something more obvious, like a miscarriage or an abortion. We do our intentional work in those areas. And so obviously that's one of them. All right, let's get into our top 10 myths. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 10, you have to get rid of the memories. Sometimes we feel like we have to get rid of the memories that we've made in order for us to get over it. That can look like burning the photo. Burning the photos would be in my day and age. I'm from the Jurassic era where we took pictures with cameras and we developed film. Today, we might delete the photos off of our phone. We may donate the gifts that we receive from from the person. We may try to avoid the area or the places that we used to go where we used to enjoy time. We might block them on social media or we might block their phone numbers. So we need to get rid of them. We need to eliminate them from our lives. I believe that's a myth when it comes to getting over it, because healing is not about deleting. Healing is not about avoiding. Healing is about integrating. Healing is about recognizing and embracing all the parts and pieces of ourselves, including our full stories and including all the events and circumstances that have taken place in our lives. If we're trying to cut parts out, eliminate and delete, then we're not fully embracing our healing process. So healing is actually about embracing, integrating our full narrative. What I think when it comes to eliminating memories or getting rid of the memories is it can be helpful for a moment to distance from being engaged in, say, the relationship or the family drama or, getting too caught up in the rejection or the shame of it all. We can distance ourselves for the moment, but I think we need to redefine our lives in a way that incorporates and includes the lessons learned from the memories that we made. If it's something like we need to get over bankruptcy, we went bankrupt, or we lost a job, we want to get over that. We don't need to completely eliminate the memories from that. We need to somehow redefine how those memories and how that experience has influenced and affected our lives in positive ways and in ways that we can take forward into our future. I've fallen in love 3 times in my life. My first love, I thought that to get over it, I needed to get rid of the memories. And so I got rid of all the pictures, gifts, clothing. I got rid of everything. I donated stuff. I ripped up, because again, Jurassic era, I ripped up the photos. And to this day, I regret that, because those are great memories of a time in my life where I was in love and I was able to experience myself and experience life in a different way. I didn't do that with my third love. Still have the memories. Now we have Google Photos. 7 years ago, here you were on whatever date. I'm able to remember in a positive way. I'm able to say, oh yeah, I was there. I did that. Oh yeah, we went there. That was fun. Oh yeah, that was us. And I'm not there anymore. That's not the reality of my life anymore. But I can appreciate, because we usually don't take pictures of moments when we're sad or moments when we're upset. We usually take pictures of the good times, of the fun times, of the great experiences that we have. So I'm able to look back fondly on those memories when those pictures pop up. Thank you, Google. It's about being able to relate to your life and your narrative in a way that is positive, that is, of course, encouraging. And that can help you to recognize when you are, in fact, getting over it. Myth number 9 around getting over it. You have to have no contact. This is similar to getting rid of the memories. I've heard this a number of times recently. This might work for if you are an alcoholic and you need to get over it. If you are a drug addict and you need to get over it, perhaps you need to stay away. Stay away from the alcohol and the drugs. When it comes to people, places, things, experiences, that might not be realistic. If you are going through a divorce and you have children, you likely won't have no contact. It's better to have good boundaries rather than block out completely. So it's better to have boundaries around your time, your space, your habits, your self-talk, your thought process. It's better to have good boundaries rather than block something out completely. If it works for you, if you're going through a breakup and it's a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and you don't have any ties to this person, then yeah, maybe no contact is a good thing for you. Maybe you can do that, but it's sometimes unrealistic. And I don't think avoiding something makes things better. Denial is a gift. It helps for a moment, but it's not a long-term health plan. It's not a retirement plan. We have to at some point confront, face, and address the things we're avoiding and that we need to get through in order for us to achieve healing. When it comes to no contact, yes, you might need some time like to figure out what the boundaries look like for you, especially if you have children or you have like ties to the person or the place. Some people don't revisit the grave sites of people that have passed on because it brings up too many memories. So I really don't think avoiding is helpful in those cases, but I do think that it takes time to learn how to re-engage or figure out how it fits into your life differently. So I think that's a myth because I don't think you need to have no contact in order for healing to happen. Number 8, I like this one because I did this one. Travel is necessary to distance yourself or to find yourself after having gone through, say, for example, a breakup. Now, I think this is a myth because, and this is from the Eat, Pray, Love era, right? Everybody needs to travel to Bali or some distant land and do meditation and yoga and whatever in order to find themselves because they went through a terrible life circumstance. They lost their job, their career, they went bankrupt, they lost their home, they lost their family, they lost their spouse, they lost their child. Something bad happened. And in order for them to get through it or to get over it, they need to go and find themselves. They need to figure out their identity, figure out who they are, figure out their purpose without that thing. Who am I if I'm not in this job? Who am I if I'm not a mother of this child? Who am I if I'm not the wife of this spouse? Who am I? Now, here's the thing. Travel can help. I'm a traveler. I love to travel. It can help you distance. It can help you gain new experience. It can help you gain new perspectives. That is the truth. Do you need an Eat, Pray, Love experience in order for you to get over it? No, you do not. A plane ticket will not heal your heart. I say catch flights, not feelings these days, but the truth is every breakup has come with a flight, for if I'm being very honest, and not me in Costa Rica having a good cry climbing up climbing up the volcano and trying to figure out, who I am now and what my life is going to look like. But healing didn't happen for me while I was traveling. Healing happened for me when I came back home and I stopped running from myself. I stopped distracting myself and I decided to sit with myself. Travel can help create distance and perspective and give you new experiences. Wonderful. But do you need to travel in order for you to find yourself or to regroup after something terrible has happened in your life? No. So that is a myth, and you definitely can face reality and address your pain without getting on a plane. I choose to get on planes whether or not I'm going through something. That's just sort of my thing. But that's a myth about getting over it. You don't need to get on a plane. You can do your work at home. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 7. This is specifically for relationships. Rebounds or sex can help you. I've heard this so many times. The quickest way to get over a breakup is to get under a new person. It's like socially acceptable. But people who've actually done it are very cognizant of the fact that it doesn't work, that it doesn't help. It actually compounds trauma, compounds grief. It adds to your already growing pile of things that you need to address and get over and that are causing pain in your life. Rebounds are for basketball. Okay, so when it comes to your life and your relationships and your emotions, addressing things, facing things, working through things, healing from things, that is your best bet. And to get over it, you're not going to find that in another relationship so quickly. You're not going to find your healing or your capacity to get over it in another person that you attach or bring into your life in an intimate way right after you have exited a relationship. It's not going to work. I know it. There's instinct there. You just want to attach. You want to have those feelings again. You want that intimacy again. You want to feel wanted. You want to feel desirable again. You want somebody to confirm to you that you're okay, that you're not going to be alone for the rest of your life. I get it. But stay single. Why? Because it's going to help you in the long run. It's going to decrease the amount of damage that you do to your psyche, to your mentals, to your emotionals, to your heart, to your life, to your other relationships in your life, to everything. So stay single. Stay single for a minute. Just calm down. Plus, I have firsthand experience with this. I did the whole rebound relationship. Let's be out here uncommitted or free, single to mingle. And what I found was that not only did I have more to work through, but I didn't like me. I didn't like the the version of myself that used other people to get over my own stuff. I didn't like the version of myself that used other people to feed my intimacy needs. It wasn't cute. Using people to satisfy your needs is not cute. Not only is it not cute, it distracts from the healing process. So it completely derails you. Now you're on some other completely different trajectory, trying to figure out how to meet these needs on a day-to-day basis, and your healing is suffering. Physical intimacy is not going to facilitate emotional healing. I'm going to say it again. Physical intimacy is not going to facilitate emotional healing. You need to figure out how to sit with yourself, how to sit with your pain and work through it. Get to real healing before you get under somebody else or you get with someone else. And that's an admonishment, not just for you. I'm thinking back to when I did this. I had to add stuff to my get over it list at the end of the day. So that's a myth. Rebounds and sex is not going to help your healing process. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 6, you have to not care anymore. If I care, if I still have feelings, then I'm not over it. That is not the truth. You can still care about a thing, a place, a person, and move on. You can decide, make a choice to move forward with your life to get the healing that you need, process the feelings that are present for you, and still care. You don't have to not care in order for you to get over it or for you to know that you've gotten over it. Engaging differently with the thing is important. You're not fully invested. Your feelings are different, have distance. It doesn't run your life or rule your life anymore, but you can still care. I still have great love and care and respect and regard for jobs that I used to have, people that I used to be involved with or close to. I still have genuine care and love for them. Do I want them back in my life in that close capacity? No. And am I over the fact that they betrayed me or hurt me or we're no longer in a relationship or we broke up or I'm over that? Yes. I can talk about it. I can laugh about things. I can enjoy the memories. I can do all of those things. And do I think I've gotten over it? Yes. So all of those things are all true at the same time. I care. I can talk about it. I've gotten over it. And so it's a myth to think that if I don't feel like I don't care anymore, that I haven't gotten over it. So you don't need to feel a certain way. There's no special rituals necessary for you to know that you've gotten over it. I've heard this the most, I should say, in therapy with clients. And so they're like, well, I still feel this way, so I clearly haven't gotten over it. Like if you want to feel a certain way, then you have to work toward that. But we're not robots. We're not programs that we can just start and stop. We're human beings. Hashtag human. If we have loved someone, if we have been invested or we've poured our life and time into a job or building a career, it is highly unlikely that we're just automatically going to disconnect and not care anymore. That is definitely a myth. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 5, you should be over it by now. I've heard this a million times and I've said it to myself. I should be over this by now. Like, why is this still affecting me? Why is this still making me emotional? Why is this still on my mind? No, there's no now. There's no timeline that's involved with healing, with grieving, with getting over it. Things come up. Grief doesn't have a clock. By this time and this day, you need to be fully grieved out. Nobody gets to tell you what kind of timeline you're on for getting through something, for processing through something, for working through something. Plus, grief is sneaky. Grief is like stealth mode out here. So it can creep up anytime. You're scrolling through social media or you're watching a movie and it just like triggers something in your brain and all of a sudden you're bawling. You're like, oh my gosh, this was one of the dreams I had for my life. I really wanted to graduate from this school, and you saw the school on the TV and then all of a sudden you're crying. Sometimes it creeps up on you months later, years later, and there's no way to control that. It's just a recognition, oh, this is a point of grief and I need to deal with it and address it now that it's come up. Even those moments are not indicators that you're not over it. It's unnecessary pressure on your life and on other people, because we say it to other people. When our friends say, I'm really sad about this thing, I'm still grieving this thing, we're like, you should get over it. Girl, you need to get over that dude. He's no good. No, we don't get to dictate when and how that happens for other people. And please don't tell people they need to be over it by now. That's so invalidating when it comes to their emotional state. If they're sharing something with you, they really truly are feeling that thing. Make space for them. Hold space for them. Empathize with them. Understand what it's like to be in their shoes in that moment. We don't need to be over it right now. This includes, if I was stronger, I would be over it by now, because I hear that as well. Strength associated with getting over it. And I think that's a myth. This is like 5A of top 10 myths. If I was stronger, I would be over it by now. So I should be over it by now. Should statements. If I was stronger, I would be over it by now. And then I'll never get over it. That's also another one I call that 5B. I'll never get over it. It's just too much. It's too too heavy. And that's sometimes how it feels when something has hurt us, when something painful happens in our lives and it hits us real hard. We feel like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get through this? Because it's so heavy, because it's so painful. And again, it's completely a myth because we know we go through stuff. We are resilient. We're human beings. We are intelligently created. And although it might take time and it might take effort and it might be hard, if we put in the time, the effort, and the work, we will get through it. Getting over it is not contingent on your strength. We all struggle. Strong people struggle. We all struggle to work through pain because we are human. And that's just a function of our humanity. So give yourself a break. Know that you don't need to get over it now. It's about your decision to do the work that's required. Real strength is facing the funk instead of not dealing with it. This is from my own personal experience with pain. I didn't really know how to deal with pain very well. And my instinct was to pretend everything was fine. Whether it was my dad leaving or my brother being killed or my own experiences with relationships and sexuality, whether it was my divorce, my first instinct was to pretend everything was okay. I didn't immediately face what was happening. My definition of strength now is much different because avoiding was for me easier at the time. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to pretend. But I believe that in facing the pain, I required genuine strength. Like it took something out of me to face the reality of my life of pain and what I was going through. I think strength has to do with facing what you're going through and dealing with it. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 4, talking about it keeps you stuck. Talking about it is actually very helpful. It helps you to release what is going on in your brain, in your mind, in your heart, in your body. This is why therapy works. This is why journaling works. This is why support groups work. Because when you avoid or when you deny things, it stays on the inside of you. There's nowhere for it to go. There's no processing. This is a cultural norm. I come from a West Indian background, Caribbean background. We don't talk about things. You keep things to yourself. You stay silent about specifically things that are painful or can be seen as shameful, embarrassing, unfavorable, and in my opinion, quite human. So you don't talk about your struggles. You don't talk about the things that are difficult and challenging for you. You talk about the successes. You talk about the things that you can celebrate, the things that went well. So it's like everybody's life out here is going well because all we're talking about are the things that went well. But what about when we are faced with challenges and pain? And maybe I'm abnormal. Maybe it's only me because everybody else out here seems to be doing okay. No, fallacy and fallacy. I think I realized this maybe later on in my life when I actually started therapy because I started talking about the things that I'd never talked about. I experienced release and relief from talking about those things. I value it now much more than I did, and I encourage it now. But what I do recognize is that it's very difficult to challenge the ingrained beliefs and narratives that we've been told. So if you've been told, don't talk about things, especially with strangers, people can't be trusted, it's really hard to challenge those narratives and speak up and speak out. And so you have to do the work to challenge that first. But I'm going to tell you from personal experience, and thousands and millions of people have had this experience. You are not abnormal. You are human, and talking things out with someone who's trusted, someone who's safe, can help you to get relief from the things that you're stuck in, from the pain that continues to plague your life, or from being unhealed from past losses, griefs, and relationships. Talking about it will not keep you stuck. It will help to release you. Go to therapy if you need to go to therapy because it rewires your brain. It will help you process. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 3, forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. Now, forgiveness is a thing. Go ahead and forgive. It will help you get over it. But forgetting, these two are usually paired together. I don't think it's a good idea to forget. And it's impossible to forget without a brain injury. I don't know if you have amnesia, maybe. But trying to forget or believing that you need to forget in order to get over it, and that forgetting is a sign that you've gotten over it, are all myths. You need to remember. Partially because if you forget, you run the risk of repeating the same thing over and over. If it's a relationship, for example, if it's irresponsibility when it comes to, or regrets or guilt when it comes to finances, financial decisions, or decisions you've made in your life about what career you're going to pursue, about who you're going to become, who you're going to hang out with. If you forget about it because it was hard, painful, or hurtful, whatever the case is, what is going to stop you from repeating the thing again? Nothing. Now, this is very serious because I've heard and I have been in the position where I've said, how come I keep doing the same thing over and over? How come I keep making the same mistake over and over? Why do I keep attracting the same people? Listen, I've heard it countless times. And part of our mind glitches. I call it a mind glitch because it's like, oh, I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen. I'm just going to forget about that thing. I'm going to forget about that relationship. I'm going to forget about that person. Ooh, damaging. If we don't take time to process how things have impacted and affected us, we will repeat over and over again. We can't do this, guys. We need to remember and fully embrace the process of meticulously going through what happened so that we can avoid doing the same thing again. I promise you, I've been in probably the same relationship 3 or 4 times. Same joker, same circumstances, until I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm the common denominator. Maybe I need to do some work here to figure out how not to be involved with the same joker over and over. Same characteristic. We need to process instead of trying to forget. We need to remember instead of trying to have amnesia. And we need to do the work instead of wishing things away. I don't want to forget. I don't want to forget things like my marriage. Oh my goodness. What if I repeated that and those mistakes in the future? That would be madness. Why do we want to do this? Remember, please remember. And it will help you to process and to learn instead of trying to forget. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 2, you guys have all been there. I've been here. You need an apology to get over it. Yeah. Closure doesn't come from another person. An apology is not going to fix it. Them saying they're sorry is not going to provide you with freedom. That process of working towards release and freedom comes from inside. It's an inside job. Closure comes from inside. Is it nice to get an apology? Is it nice for people to acknowledge that they've wronged you in some way? Yeah, sure. But do you need that for closure to happen? No, it is a complete myth. You can get over it. You can get through it. You can get past it. You can heal without an apology. I'm over waiting for my dad to apologize. I had to do my work. I had to get to the point where I was like, you know what? Whether I talk to him or not, or he apologizes or not, I'm going to live my life and I'm going to live it to the full. Am I going to be hindered and set back or held back because I don't get an apology from someone I believe has wronged me? No, I'm going to forgive, release, get my freedom, and keep it moving. First of all, we have to twist our minds so that we understand that closure and getting over it and healing doesn't come from outside of us. It comes from inside of us. And so that might be a perspective shift or a mindset shift for us. We don't need it. I had a conversation with a young lady who had been assaulted by her dad, and she was like, I need to express to him how much this hurt me and he needed an apology and so on. But he died. So obviously he couldn't give an apology and she couldn't express it to him, right? But she wrote letters, and she wrote letters about her feelings, her emotions. She wrote letters about what she would have wanted to hear. And that helped to create her healing and her release. She didn't physically get an apology from him for the wrong he had done to her, for how he hurt her, but she took responsibility for the impact that it had and the work that she needed to do to heal so she could become the version of herself that she wanted to be, so that she could show up in her life the way that she wanted to show up. It's not necessary to get an apology. That is definitely a myth about getting over it. And if you do the mindset shift to recognize that you are empowered and you have autonomy over your own healing process, then you can do the work to get to healing or to getting over it. Top 10 myths about getting over it. Number 1, and I know you guys have heard this. You guys probably can guess what this is. Time heals all wounds. Time heals all wounds. You might have said it. Someone might have said it to you during a moment of despair, during a moment of loss. These kinds of wounds, emotional wounds, wounds from shame, from loss, from betrayal, from disappointment, from regret, from guilt, from rejection. These kinds of wounds, emotional wounds, are not healed by time. Physical wounds can be healed by time. If I break my arm, break my wrist, break a finger, I can get a cast, and over the next 6 to 8 weeks, that bone might heal. But these kinds of wounds, these emotional wounds, are not healed by time. You might wait 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and never address the thing. Once you get to that place where you are confronted again, all of the pain rushes back. All of those emotions come back vigorously, stronger than before. Time only passes. Tick tock. That's all time does. It is a passive agent in our lives. It is not active. It doesn't do anything. I think he was probably in his 80s at the time. He said, I'm bitter and angry as an 80-year-old because I didn't address and process pain that I experienced in my 30s. Have you ever met like a bitter, angry 80-year-old? Time only passed. Healing didn't happen. They didn't get better. They got bitter. maybe that's a good point. If time passes and you just allow this thing to fester and you're in denial, it's actually going to make you worse. People are going to come to your funeral and be like, yeah, I just came to pay my respects, but they're not going to have great things to say. I actually attended a virtual funeral last week, and boy, oh boy, the tributes and the testimonies and the words spoken. This person was such a bright light in everybody's life. In order for you to be a bright light in everybody's life, you need to do your own work. You need to walk around with a full cup. You need to be processing daily. You need to be addressing the things that cause you pain. You need to be going through transition intentionally. All of these things help you to show up in your life in a way that impacts other people and that ensures that you're not bitter at the end of the day. Time heals all wounds, not these kinds. That is a myth. My dad left when I was 16 years old. I went through a lot of pain when I was about 28 years old. And I didn't fully address or start processing the pain that I experienced then until I was in my 30s. I felt like I was 16 again because I got stunted and stuck. Again, time only passes. If you don't do the work intentionally, and obviously in my 30s, I'm wiser than I am in my teens. And so I have more tools. I'm journaling, doing my mindfulness exercises, going to therapy, but I didn't even really admit that it impacted me. I didn't even really know that it had affected me so deeply until I got a chance to process and I got a chance to face it in my 30s. And that's why I started with some of the things that we may need to get over, because sometimes we just think we need to get over like when somebody dies or when we go through a breakup. But when I was in my first job, my first corporate job, doing the work as a Black female in that office, and they bypassed me and hired somebody else after 2 years, I was extremely disappointed. I was big mad. I quit. I was like, yeah, right. What? So I've been here grinding and hustling and you're going to give it to somebody else? Absolutely never not. That disappointment, that rejection, I had to process. Each transition we go through in our lives, we have to process. And it could be a good processing. It could be moving from a single person to a married person. It could be moving from married person to a parent. It could be graduating from high school and going to university. Each transition requires for us to leave and let go of something and to obtain or to gain something. Transitions can be very difficult for us, especially when we don't acknowledge the loss that's present or inherent in a transition, especially when we don't recognize the grief that's inherent in a transition. We move from one neighborhood to another. Well, we have different neighbors. We go to a different school. We have to make new friends. These are all moments in time where we need to sit down and process the loss that we go through, the gains that we make. And they're all moments where we need to get over something. And so we need to address all the myths that we think are true about getting over it. In order to get over this, I need to let time go by, or I need to not care anymore, or I need to get rid of the memories, or I need to get an apology, or any of the things that we've talked about here today. So those are all myths, and we need to make sure that the intentional work of addressing the things that cause us pain, we're doing our work to talk about it, to process it, to face it, to admit it, and to get over it. I have a bonus for you. It's obvious, but it's not obvious. Any distractions that we use to try and get over it are only going to delay our process. So distractions include things like alcohol, drugs, sex, work. Anything that causes us to escape rather than face is only going to delay our healing. The feelings are not going to go anywhere. They're just going to get pent up till the point when they can get unleashed and they hijack our lives, or they come out at a very inopportune moment and we end up breaking down in like the mall or something. So that is a bonus. Distractions will help you. They will not. All of the distractions that you can put in your life, all of the ways that you choose to escape, whether it's social media, any kind of screen, TV, binge watching, alcohol, gambling, all of those things are going to delay your process. I'm done. This was season 7, season finale. Tell me what your number one myth that you believe is. My number one myth used to be time heals all wounds. I definitely used to believe that until time went by and my wounds weren't healed. They were still open. So tell me what your number one myth is. And just know that we work towards getting over things. We work towards growing through things. And it's all possible if we are willing to put in the time, the effort, and the work. Thank you guys so much for being a part of season 7 of the Relationship Series. I cannot wait for season 8. Lots of new things coming for season 8, especially new topics that help us to revolutionize our relationships. Thank you guys again for being present. I cannot wait to see you in season 8. It is always a pleasure. I'm Genevieve. I'm your host. Go out and revolutionize your relationships.